Martha, not to Martha, don't you mourn. Pharaoh's army, you know they've been drowned, singing Mary, don't you tell them Martha, not to mourn. Martha, don't you mourn.
Bum 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 bum. Now tell me what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to run. When judgment comes for you, when judgment comes for you. Tell me what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to hide. When judgment comes for you, 'cause it's gonna come for you.
Looking at for Polly, easy season for Charlie. Little Google guy's got him, and I'm gonna miss everybody out of rolling clothes. Like I ain't looked at a while. And playing for dust, and they play too deep for beach side. Little legs I came to be. Tell me your feature deceased with them, please. Baby, me by my grand, and when you can go follow
God bless you, working on a plan to heaven. Follow the Lord on 24/7 days. God is who we pray, even though the devil's all up in my face, but he keeping me safe and in my place. Say grace to the gates of race, without a change to face the judge, and it gets my soul with books. Grudge because there's no mercy for thugs. Ooh, what can I do? It's all about the family and how we grow. Can I get a witness? Let it unfold. We live in our lives, so we turn our soul. Hey, hey.
And we're praying, we're praying, we're praying, we're praying. Every day, every day, every day, every day. And we're praying, we're praying, we're praying, we're praying. Still with laces. Now follow me, roll, stroll, whether it's tell or it's savage. Come, let's go take a visit to the people that's long gone there is. While he's there, terrible. Instead of keeping up with my family. Exactly, how many days we got lasting? While you laughing, we're passing the way. We gon' rest our souls, 'cause I know I'ma meet you up at the crossroad. Y'all know never ever got love with them both thugs, baby.
Leave this long gone, really wish you could come home. But when it's time to die, gotta go bye-bye. All the little thug could do was cry. Why they kill my dog? Yeah, man, I miss my Uncle Charles, y'all. And he shouldn't be gone in front of his home. When they did, the rule was wrong. Who's so wrong? Gotta hold on, gotta stay strong. When it comes, better believe on. Gotta show that you can lean on, lean on.
And we pray, we pray, we pray, we pray. Every day, every day, every day, every day. And we pray, we pray, we pray, we pray. Every day. See you at the crossroads. See you at the crossroads. See you at the crossroads.
And I'm gonna miss everybody, and I'm gonna miss everybody. And I'm gonna miss everybody, and I'm gonna miss everybody, and I'm gonna miss everybody. And I'm gonna miss everybody.
Living in a hateful world, sending me straight, that's how we run. Living in a hateful world, sending me straight, that's how we run. Living in a hateful world, sending me straight, that's how we run. And that's in a good little YSI, he told me we lived it
What's up with that money, y'all? See my bigger cousin was home. Somebody really, everybody wanna test the stuff. Getting this sleazy instead of easy to fall. They know what they're saying, cause they intended, know that they didn't win any. Wanna come again and again. Now tell me what you gonna do.
Can somebody, anybody tell me why? Hey, can somebody, anybody tell me why? We die, we die. I don't wanna die. So wrong. See you at the crossroads, so you won't be lonely. So you won't be lonely. See you at the crossroads, so you won't be lonely. See you at the crossroads, so you won't be lonely. See you at the crossroads, so you won't be lonely. See you at the crossroads, so you won't be lonely. See you at the crossroads, so you won't be lonely. See you at the crossroads, so you won't be lonely.
Salute to any and everyone that tap in. Even if you tap in and then dip right back out, I appreciate you just for the seconds. You know what I mean? And those that stay, rock with me, and those that may check this out later, man, I appreciate all the support. You know what I mean? I was looking at the YouTube subscribers today, and up to like 496. So all 496 people, man, that just hit that subscribe button. I appreciate it. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, I appreciate it if you will. Salute, Pretty Problem Nisha. Thank you for being here as always. I gotta make you a mod. You and Jug, gotta make y'all moderators, man, because y'all always rock out with me. And I know this 2:00 something a little different, but I have a few things that I need to do today. Then there's some things that I want to get into that I think is of importance. Today I'm supposed to have Salute. I hope I say it right. Abril, Salute. Thank you for being here. There's some things of importance that I want to discuss later on because I've kind of been like just going over this Karmelo Anthony situation a lot and finding similar cases throughout this area. And all over America, things are happening. But it's some things more on a national level, far as the direction of this country, this Trump administration, and all that. So I want to make sure that I don't, ignore that and start bringing those things to the forefront as well, because I think those things affect how we operate, on the local, the state level as well. But before I get into anything any deeper, I actually, had chose that song Crossroads by Bone Thugs last night. I said, man, I ain't heard this in a minute. I'm gonna play that. But I just got word right before this live, maybe an hour ago, that a young dude, when I first started out trying to get into the entertainment game, when I got out of prison, I had a company called Your Hood Plug, and I went around just interviewing artists all over. I would travel, a partner of mine at a Sidebar Management, Courtney Beeman, hooked me up with this artist named Burn One Breeze. And he was like, man, shit, just go out there and interview him or whatever. So I went out there and I interviewed Burn One, man. We had a good interview. And I still have the interview and everything. But I want to say rest in peace to Burn One Breeze. I heard a tragedy took place. I believe it was last night or whatever. So I want to say rest in peace to the young brother, man. And, may the Creator have mercy on his soul and on mercy on all of our souls. But yeah, man, that was one of the first artists that was willing to sit down and let me interview him before I got deeper and deeper into the entertainment game, far as promotion and things like that. So, rest in peace, Burn One Breeze. Well, as you can see, what I want to discuss today was the state of Texas versus Jesus San Miguel, and show the similarities between Jesus's case and Karmelo's case, and maybe this can get people, that says it's self-defense, or some people on the opposite side that's saying that it's, hey, this is outright murder or whatever. We can look at that case, see the similarities, and see what you think, and see, do Karmelo have a similar claim, and do you think the outcome would be the same? And I don't intend to stay here long today because I have some things to do, but I'm also going to have a guest to come up, friend, sister, my partner, Roy 9G, who's always here. And so she's going to be coming up. I'm going to bring her up. She can introduce herself, and, she'll dive into commentary and what we're discussing, as well as some other things, because she has big things going on that, that can help people, navigate this rough terrain that we're dealing with. So I'm going to be bringing her up here in a second, you know what I mean? And, well, it's been a minute since I actually explained what I meant by racist entertainment. So I want to get into that just briefly so we don't lose sight of what I mean. And I told this story time and time again. If you want an in-depth explanation, you can check out the very first video that I did. Check that out. It breaks everything down. But, I had an idea back in '99. I was incarcerated. Most people know. And I wanted to do something different, something that I thought would be unifying but unique. So I came up with the idea of racist records back then. And I wouldn't get out until 18 years later, but I still held on to that idea. But as far as races, I took the word, racist, and broke it down as far as race, meaning a class of kind of people unified by common interests, habits, or characteristics. Then I looked at the suffix ist, ist, and the suffix means that you one that adheres to or advocates a specified doctrine or system or code of behavior. So when I put the two together, the race and the suffix is, the definition I settled on was one that advocates a code of behavior for people unified with common interests, basically removing the whole negative connotations or ideas about being a racist. So when I call myself a racist, that's what I mean. I advocate a code of behavior for people that are unified with common interests. And at this time that we're living in, I think that's what we need here in America, because it has nothing to do with your skin color or even the history that, whether we like it or not, the good and bad of it, we share that history, and moving forward, I think that being a racist in the way that is defined that I just described, is what we need. I also took each letter of the word racist, made an acronym for rearranged concepts, interpretations, stereotypes, and thinking. Because with this platform, what I intend to do and what I try to encourage others to do is like, let's kind of get away from these stereotypes or the way we first see things and coming up with our own interpretations and, and basically start thinking and get to the root of things. Maybe we can have more peace, prosperity, and move forward more united, you know what I mean, and try to change this culture. So basically that's what racism is all about. And that's what this platform is all about. Before I get into it, with no further delay, and I get into this Jesus San Miguel case, I'm gonna bring Noel up now. Noel, hopefully I'm saying it right. Well, she's on mute right now. She maybe has something to do, got a call or something. Can you hear me? Okay, she's not connected right now, but whenever you're ready, you can introduce yourself or come up and let me know that you're ready. But we all know the details. It's all over national media, world media. And about the Carmelo Anthony and the Austin Metcalf situation in Frisco, Texas, that took place. What was it, last week? Noel, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. I hear you. Okay,
Fantastic. What's going on, Brother Corey?
not much. Just diving into this content. I try to keep it on something that we can have productive conversations about, and reach conclusions based off of facts and things of that nature. So today I'm going to be talking about similarities between the case that took place in San Antonio and the Karmelo Anthony case here in Frisco. But there's other things, I know you may want to get into. We're going to dive into that, as well. So I'm going to try to just not speed through this, but just give a general breakdown, get your opinion, insight, and all of that. And then we'll venture off into whatever else that, we can discuss.
Okay, sounds fantastic. I definitely appreciate you inviting me on your platform. As Corey said, my name is Noel. I am the founder of Culpability. It's a safety tech company, and our goal is to help our people get home safe. It's free to download in both the Apple and the Google Play Store. You can post on it like you can any other social media platform. But what stands out, one of the many things that stands out, is the fact that there is a SOS button. So when you hit that SOS button, it activates and initiates the audio and video recording from your phone, while at the same time, it sends a notification to your emergency contacts. When they get the notification, they can click on a link and they can see and hear what's going on with you in real time. Not only do they get that link, but they get another link. And when they click on that second link, they can get your GPS location. Uh, Again, feel free to download it, share it with your family, your friends, so we can curb these incidents that are often taking place in our communities. And I can get more into that later, but I definitely want to and am prepared to dive right into this Karmelo Anthony situation. It's so unfortunate.
Okay. So y'all heard, if I would have been better prepared, I would have had the actual link in my description, but I didn't. I have before, but I'll definitely be posting it every video from now on, the Copability app. I mean, he does things that I didn't even know that he do based off what she just described, but we'll get into that here in a second. This Jesus San Miguel case, it happened in 2023, and Jesus was a 18-year-old kid, and basically around April 4th, he was accused of stabbing another kid, 18-year-old kid, Joshua Kinnaman, and both of them, were high school kids. And according to the arrest warrant, they went to a restaurant across the street from the school. They actually went together. They were saying that they were friends, and whatever took place, Jesus said something to Joshua. Then a video inside the restaurant, you can hear Joshua telling him, I'll kick your ass right now. So then Jesus tells Joshua, let's go. So they head outside, and according to the reports in the arrest warrant affidavit, they were smiling going outside. So when they get outside, Joshua pushes Jesus, shoves him in the back, you know what I mean? And then Jesus, he dropped the drink that he was carrying, and then he took off his backpack. He reached into his backpack and he pulled out a lock blade, they said, you know what I mean? Some similar to this. He pulled out a lock blade. So when he pulls out the lock blade, Joshua Kinnaman starts approaching him, and he began to swing at Jesus or whatever. After a few swings, then Jesus lunges forth, with the knife, and then he stabs Joshua in his torso. Joshua turns around, go back into the restaurant. He asks for help while Jesus just, he runs off, and Joshua dies at the hospital. And long story short, later on, I believe the next day, they arrest Jesus San Miguel for murder, and they give him a $150,000 bond. So I have a few videos here that kind of explains the situation, and I'm gonna let those play. They're only a couple of minutes long, so it won't take up a bunch of y'all time.
Is the case of Jesus San Miguel. San Miguel, who was 18, this past April was arrested for allegedly fatally stabbing a John Jay High School student at a West Side restaurant. According to the arrest warrant affidavit, San Miguel and 18-year-old Joshua Kinnaman went to a restaurant together, but at some point started to argue. As they walked outside, surveillance video showed Kinnaman shove San Miguel and then San Miguel taking a knife out. Investigators say that is when San Miguel lunged at Kinnaman. Kinnaman walked back into the restaurant asking for help. Surveillance video showed San Miguel flee the scene. Kinnaman later died from his injuries. If San Miguel is found guilty, he faces up to life in prison.
A teenager is now behind bars accused of stabbing a John Jay High School student to death earlier this week. 18-year-old Jesus San Miguel turned himself in. He is charged with the murder of Joshua Kinnaman, who is also 18. It happened outside a restaurant near the high school just before 2 p.m. Tuesday. As KENS 5 reporter Zach Briggs explains, arresting documents reveal what led to the fatal stabbing.
A Northside ISD spokesman tells KENS 5 18-year-old Jesus San Miguel is a registered student at John Jay High School. District officials also confirmed the school's policy allows juniors and seniors to go off campus for lunch if they've filled out the signed parents' permission form. According to the affidavit, the stabbing happened at 1:52 p.m. Tuesday outside this restaurant off Marbach, which is just a few minutes away from the school. Police documents say video footage shows San Miguel and Joshua Kinnaman arriving at the restaurant and ordering food. San Miguel approaches Kinnaman, who is sitting down saying something inaudible. Kinnaman responds by threatening to beat him up. The suspect says, "Okay, let's go." Documents say the video shows both teens smiling as they walk outside the restaurant. San Miguel is seen shoving Kinnaman before taking off his backpack and pulling out what the officer described as a lock blade knife. The affidavit says Kinnaman proceeds to quickly move towards San Miguel, swinging at him with closed fists. Then San Miguel stabs Kinnaman once in the torso, who then runs inside the restaurant for help. By that time, San Miguel had run off. Kinnaman died in the hospital just after 3:30 p.m. the same day. As for the accused killer, arrested Wednesday, he's held at Bexar County Jail on a $150,000 bond. Zach Briggs.
So when I first came across this case, I was like, man, there's so many similarities as far as, the kids being in high school, same age range as Austin and Carmelo. They were 17. These kids were 18 years old, and you had the situation where Kinnaman had put his hands on Jesus. Jesus had got his knife out of his backpack, and when Kinnaman started going at him again, Jesus stabs, Kinnaman in his torso. So there was so many similarities, as well as Jesus' defense. His claimed defense was self-defense. He was charged with murder, and it was self-defense was the defense. So I saw those similarities, and a lot of people were, wondering, would Karmelo be able to beat this case claiming self-defense? So this was something that stood out to me, because I myself, I don't know if that's the best approach for Karmelo, but this case kind of opened my mind to the possibility of it. And if you'd like to chime in, Noel, you can.
Absolutely.
What do you think?
First and foremost, it's unfortunate all the way around. Both cases, these young men being placed in this situation. I know more about the Karmelo Anthony case than I do of the other case that you mentioned. So I'm glad that you shared the backstory in regards to those two cases. As it relates to self-defense, I think that is a good defense, because I did some research around what that can look like. And based upon the information that we've seen that's available in the news. Now, some legal considerations. One, the initiation of physical contact. What we know thus far is witnesses did report that the altercation began when Metcalf asked Anthony to move from under a tent that was for the Metcalf's track team. Metcalf wasn't a person on the track team. He was a football player there, someone that didn't have authority. Now, what we also know is Anthony allegedly warned Metcalf, telling him not to touch him. And when Metcalf did make physical contact, eventually he responded by pulling out that knife and stabbing the young man. What we also know is the officers, when the officers were taking him to the police station, he asked how the young man was doing. So that in itself shows that he wasn't trying to kill anyone. He was just trying to defend himself. Now, there was a perception of threat. Anthony told the police officers on the scene that he was assaulted first and he acted in self-defense. Now, the question will be whether Anthony believed that there was imminent danger and thus he responded reasonably by, grabbing a knife, because it sounds like he was, and he did feel like he was in immediate danger because there were two big guys, two big football players, intimidating and handling him, whatever that looked like. Again, we know what we know, what we've seen, the information that has been placed out there. What we also know is self-defense claims usually hinge on whether the force that was being used was proportional to the perceived threat. So was him using a knife a reasonable response to being, physically handled or assaulted, and it was that a reasonable reaction underneath the circumstances. In my opinion, I think it could be seen as being reasonable, especially if you're an older black man and you've been a younger black man and a black male in the United States, in the state of Texas. And I'm sure you have probably been faced with or in situations where you may have felt like you were in danger. So is that something that could be considered reasonable based upon his experience and experiences? And then there's a fourth piece to think about, and that's called the duty to retreat. So with Texas law, like many other states, um, that doesn't they don't impose a duty to retreat before using force in self-defense. You know, Texas is notorious for stand your ground, just like quite a few other states are notorious for stand your ground. Florida is another stand your ground state. So that stand your ground principle could support Anthony's claim if he reasonably believed he was in imminent danger. So those are just some of the things that come to mind when I think about, or based on the information that I've seen uh, in the news and that's available online. Those are some of the things that come come to mind for me.
So basically, you think that he does have a claim of self defense, and there's a lot of people that agree with you. But it's two things about what you said, and that I somewhat has me on the fence about him trying to fight this murder charge with self defense, because I know under murder, like a lot of these people, they already know. I actually went through this whole thing because I had a murder charge, Texas Penal Code
Mm-hmm.
19.02. You know what I'm saying? And one of the things about murder is, knowingly and intentionally, cause the death for an individual, or knowingly intentionally, uh, basically want to cause serious bodily injury, which results in the death of an individual. So that there, whether his intentions were to cause serious bodily injury, you see what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
if his intentions was to cause serious bodily injury and that resulted in the death of Austin, then they would have, they possibly could come back with a murder charge because of what we do know with him saying, okay, touch me or whatever and see what happens. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Things of that. So that's what scares me about him being up under this murder charge. And another thing about the castle law, to stand your ground or whatever, what bothers me, and I don't know how it would work out legally or whatever. You have to be in, like, I guess you could say, good standing. You can't be, breaking the law or whatever in the process of claiming, uh,
Right.
stand your ground or whatever. So the fact that he had the knife and where he did have the knife, it makes me question whether or not, he would be in legal standing far as stand your ground. So those are the two things that bothers me, and that worries me about this situation, because I'm of the opinion that if I was his attorney, and I've said this before on other people's platform, my daughter in particular, Queen 88, if anything, I would be the first thing I would be trying to fight based off of experience, and my lawyer didn't do or whatever. Let's get these charges dropped for murder off top. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Let's try to get
Right.
dropped for murder off top. And with that, you basically know what you're facing anyway. Because with this murder, he's facing 5 to 99 to life. He can't get the death penalty, or he can't get life without parole because of the Supreme Court in the Roper versus Simmons back in 2005. You're 17 years old.
Right.
They're not mentally developed. They're impulsive. All these
Correct.
things. You know what I'm saying? So let's get off of this murder, and if nothing else, let's get it down to the maximum a manslaughter charge, which only
Correct.
to the 20. Then we'll fight it from there from a self-defense perspective, including some lesser included offenses as far as the charge as well, something like criminally negligent homicide, which is a state jail
Right.
and it carries from I think like 6 months to 2 years in the state jail. So that's one of the things that I would, advise his family to, ask this lawyer, man, can you at least get him off the murder charge, get the charges reduced, because when you sit before 12 people, supposed to be jury of your peers, and they've been hearing about everything that's going on, and 9 times out of 10, even if it's 6 and 6, black and white, you know what I'm saying? Some people may not just even base it off of a racial thing, as we see people are being divided along those lines. Some people may be more about a right and a wrong, or like he was saying, was it proportional to what Austin did to him? You know what I'm saying? To make him go
Correct.
to that extent. So that's a real, big risk that they're taking trying to fight, a murder charge on self-defense. But I'm gonna jump back into this San Miguel case, Jesus San Miguel, and show another video here that I had, and what was the situation with him at this stage after being arrested and all of these things.
Murder or self-defense? That's what a jury must decide in the trial of Jesus San Miguel.
The former John Jay High School student is accused of fatally stabbing his friend and classmate last year during a lunch break.
Erica Hernandez takes us inside the courtroom as opening arguments and testimony began.
You can't bring a knife to a fist fight.
You can use deadly force to defend yourself against deadly force.
The state and defense laid out two different versions of what happened on April 4th, 2023. 18-year-old John Jay High School senior Joshua Kinnaman was stabbed to death, allegedly by one of his own friends, Jesus San Miguel. Kinnaman, according to the state, was upset about something San Miguel said to his girlfriend. And during lunch break at La Fiesta de Jalisco, across the street from the school, Kinnaman challenged San Miguel to a fight. Here is the very moments the two met, and San Miguel can be heard saying, "Let's go." What happened next, according to the state, Kinnaman pushed and threw a punch at San Miguel, who then took out a knife and stabbed him. But the defense says San Miguel was trying to leave and de-escalate the situation, but had to defend himself.
He doesn't rush at him and stab him. He doesn't stab him multiple times. He's standing there with his knife in his hand, trying to de-escalate.
Other friends who were with San Miguel and Kinnaman at the restaurant told the jury today that they didn't know there was anything wrong between the two, and that both were good guys and not known to be violent.
Now, testimony will resume tomorrow morning. When the jury does go deliberate, it'll be up to them to decide if this is self-defense or not. San Miguel faces.
So, I saw a similar situation, like, where he was saying San Miguel, like he didn't rush to him. He was trying to de-escalate or whatever. And maybe this was in the conversation or the argument that Karmelo was having with the two brothers, or Austin, like, okay, man, I'm telling you, put your hands on me. You know what I'm saying? Watch what happened, like going on or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So from that perspective, he may have a self-defense claim. What you think about it?
I think you're absolutely right. One of the other things that I read somewhere is that Metcalf broke Anthony's phone. So that alone could be seen as a form of escalating aggression, and not just merely, this verbal confrontation. This was another student that didn't have any type of authority, trying to, verbally remove and physically remove this young man, Anthony, that he did not know, from under a tent that he had no authority of. So, the destruction of personal property, especially in a tense or confrontational setting, it can be seen as a provocative act that could justify a belief that additional harm is imminent. Because just think about it from a rational and logical perspective. Who goes around grabbing folks' stuff and destroying it.
Mhm.
No one really does that. That's not something that we would do. And I would even take it a step further. Those actions show intent to dominate, humiliate, um, and provoke, especially in front of other peers. They were trying to intimidate this young man. And my my other question is, did he and his brother have a history of bullying folks? And I want to say I read somewhere else that they did. So that leads me to my next question. Frisco ISD would be culpable in this situation, just like the parents, if they knew that their children had a history of bullying folks. I'm working now with I have something else that I do. I'm an advocate for children and young adults with invisible disabilities. And an invisible disability, for those that may not be familiar with the term, references like children that are on the spectrum. So it could be someone with autism, it could be someone with ADHD, someone with ODD, someone with ADD. Uh, Invisible disabilities are things that you can't necessarily look at someone to know that they have a disability. So, someone who has their legs broken and they're in a wheelchair, you can visibly see that they have a disability. Well, someone who might have a behavioral disability, you may not be able to visually recognize that they have a disability. Well, my team has been having and consulting with parents of a young student in Frisco ISD. And this particular student, which happens to be a young Black boy, has been uh, getting bullied and harassed by a young white boy. And I'm going to say they're in like first or second grade. And this behavior has already started. And so much so that this young little Black kid has come home with scratches on his face from what this young white kid has done to him. Now, as opposed to the school actively doing something to protect this young Black kid, they have tried to paint him out to be the problem. So when I say that Frisco ISD has a level of responsibility, all school systems should be responsible for those types of behaviors that have taken place that have gone unchecked.
Mm. Damn, that young too. I mean, where are you getting that from?
Yeah, but this is the thing. So, do we think the twins just started bullying and acting out? Probably not. They've been getting away with it for a long time.
I mean, you the team captain, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So knowing that's
Absolutely.
what everybody looking up to and, fearful
Yes,
and
they
all this.
consider that a normal behavior, and it's not. It's not. Bullying people, intimidating people, putting your hands on people. I want to know, is he aggressive because he's taking some type of performance enhancement drug, or is he aggressive because he's been allowed to get away with behaving that way? That we have to get to the why before we get to uh, what level of responsibility is going to be had or shared. We need to get more understanding around how we got to this place.
And from reading arrest report, I kind of like got the arrest report as well as the interviews that were given that the father and the son did. It's like I couldn't formulate a clear picture of what took place. Like, were they there and were they under the tent and Mello came up to try to get out the rain, as one witness has said, you know, then or I heard on the interview, it was the father was saying like Mello was behind them making like a bunch of noise or something, and and they turned around and said something to him. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I don't know how it worked out as far as the whole interaction, or was Mello already sitting there and they came from someplace else, I heard. You know what I mean? So that's just
Yes, I heard what you just referenced, that uh, Mello was underneath the tent and they came from somewhere else telling him he needed to get out.
You see, so we don't even know how that took place because I clearly heard the father say that Mello was behind them and they turned around and asked him who he was or whatever. He said, "I'm Mello." You know what I'm saying? Like that. So, I mean, it's just so many different stories, but I'm pretty sure once they start releasing video and all that type of stuff, I mean, they're going to go more depth into it. What's good, bro? Roy 9G.
Hello, can you hear
Yeah, I
me?
can hear you now. What you have to add to this?
I mean, it's definitely a hot topic right now, and really it's because of the racial dynamic. Because, like you see, the Hispanic kids, that wasn't no story out here. They didn't even make it to Dallas, right? Uh,
Oh.
so it's just really based on the white black dynamic, and everybody's up in arms, right? And I understand that, and I understand black people's response.
Yeah, I do too. It's
You went out.
um it's definitely it's sad, it's sad. No parent deserves to or should have to bury a child. And at the same time, no no child or teen or young adult should have to be intimidated and and faced with or left with a decision um, that would require them to have to use a weapon.
Well, let me say this. Can you hear
It
me now?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yes,
Okay, but the reality is that kids are gonna bully other kids. That's just gonna happen. That's life, right? That's probably gonna forever happen. It's been happening. It's gonna happen, right? I feel like this though. I feel like he definitely should face some level of consequence. But I know the issue is in my community is that
You keep going out, bro. Can't hear you.
okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
yes.
We can't hear you. All right, hold that thought. I'm gonna just hold that thought. We're gonna go
All right.
back to that. Oh, I can hear you now. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, we seen these white kids do these heinous things and go home. So I understand why like black people feel like almost as a direct response that well we should get treated the same way. I think the issue is really the justice system as a whole because
Correct.
because we see other teams do heinous. Kyle Rittenhauser, we seen the white guy choke out the black dude who didn't touch him, kill him, and these people go home. So we feel like well it should work the same way for us. So like the question is, I mean I guess it's a philosophical thing. Like as a group of people, how are we supposed to react? Should we always stand on what's right and justice, or do we want fair treatment based on injustices we've seen in the past?
Why not both? I don't think it should be a either or. I think it should be what's right and what's just, and it should align with uh, previous cases. Like there shouldn't be, although we do see it, there shouldn't be one level of justice for uh, black people and one level of justice for white people. It, it's not our reality because we can all probably quote cases where it's been just that. and we feel like it's just us, but there should be some type of equality across the board.
I agree. I agree for sure. Uh, I'm gonna dive into back into this Jesus San Miguel case. So he, of course, we know that he was charged with murder. They gave him $150,000 bond. I know a lot of people were complaining about Carmelo's bond being $1 million. He actually have a bond hearing this Monday, I believe, at 9 o'clock in Judge Angela Tucker courtroom, the District Court 199. And but I saw they tried to say that because he's black or whatever, he got this high bond and it shouldn't be that because of other people. But then I do know of some local cases where kids did commit murder and they gave them $1 million bonds as well. So I couldn't ride with, people explanation of why he got that type of bond. But anyway, uh Jesus got $150,000 bond. He ends up, taking it to trial as we see, and I'm gonna play this here with what the jury came back with. I believe this is one.
20-year-old Jesus San Miguel, a former John Jay High School student, found guilty of criminally negligent homicide.
It was for the deadly stabbing of a fellow student during a fight in April of last year. News 4 San Antonio's Mariah Medina was in court today. She joins us live with the very latest. Mariah, good evening.
Jonathan, Mandy, this new jury will decide what punishment Jesus San Miguel will face after that initial jury that found him not guilty of murder, but guilty of a lesser charge of criminally negligent homicide couldn't come to a decision on that punishment. Today, those jurors heard from San Miguel's mother as well as a psychiatrist, both offering opinions on San Miguel as well as on the incident.
His profile is inconsistent with somebody who's going to have problems psychologically, reoffending, anger control, those kinds of issues.
This video of the fight that claimed the life of 18-year-old Joshua Kinnaman and resulted in a conviction against the then 18-year-old Jesus San Miguel is just one of the things psychologist Richard Thies reviewed before forming his opinion on San Miguel's psychological profile. Dr. Thies told jurors he didn't believe San Miguel was the aggressor in the April 2023 fight. It was during that fight that San Miguel pulled out a knife and stabbed Kinnaman. Jurors also heard from San Miguel's mother, who shared that San Miguel had visited LSU just 2 weeks before the fight and had already picked out where he would live. She says her son was a good student, though prosecutors did push back on that, asking about a fight for which San Miguel had been suspended from school for over prior to the fight. Now, attorneys will deliver their closing arguments tomorrow morning, and they will begin deliberating on punishment after. Because a deadly weapon was used in this crime, San Miguel faces 2 to 10 years behind bars and a fine of up to $10,000. We'll keep you updated on that as it develops. Live at the court.
So we see that instead of the murder, they came back with criminally negligent homicide on this San Miguel case, and he did fight the murder charge with self-defense. But what stood out to me about that was a lot of people that I be talking to out here on social media or read or whatever, everybody brings up how the type of kid that Carmelo is, and good kid, this, that, and another. And they actually had one girl that goes to the high school that knew Carmelo, and like she couldn't believe what had happened. They wouldn't think that he would use a knife or whatever. All they had known him for was fighting. You know what I'm saying? And that was a similarity. If the girl was telling the truth, I don't know. That was similar to, San Miguel, as far as him, fighting in school, had been suspended for fighting or whatever. So that we don't know about Carmelo yet, as far as, how he's been in school and his reputation for fighting or being aggressive of anything. So that stood out to me as well, the similarities to this case.
Well, I hope that things work out as best as they can work out. It's super unfortunate, and there was a time, and I'm sure you guys can probably remember this time that I'm about to reference when, if there was a bullying situation, um, it would be person one and person two would just square up, and you would handle it like that, and that would be it. And win, lose, or draw, everyone got an opportunity to go home. And, as long as you can hold your own, even if you quote unquote lost the fight, you put those hands on somebody, they wouldn't try you again. And unfortunately, in this situation, because there were two against one, even if um, Anthony was someone who would stand up and he would square up and he would handle it like you're supposed to handle it. If you can't resolve it with words and just one-on-one, he would walk away from those other situations if what the young lady said was true. But in this situation, there was clearly a difference, because as opposed to fighting, he went with what he thought needed to take place in this particular situation. And if there is credible testimony or evidence that Metcalf had a history of bullying, um, especially if he had some interaction with Anthony prior to being underneath the tent, or with other students in the past, that would definitely help establish that Anthony wasn't reacting to an isolated event, and he really did feel like um, he was the next target in this pattern of aggression.
Fair. Well, with this Jesus, with the jury actually coming back with the criminally negligent homicide, when we look at that, we see that's Texas Penal Code 19.05, occurs when someone's death is caused by another's criminal negligence, a failure to recognize a serious risk of death that a reasonable person would have seen, punishable as a state jail felony. And another part of that is not intentional. Unlike murder or manslaughter, criminally negligent homicide doesn't require the intent to cause death. The focus is on the failure to perceive and avoid a serious risk. And it talks about, the 6 months to 2 years state jail, whatever. Do you think that suits this situation with Karmelo?
Um, that's a tough question. I do think that that's a better charge to charge him with, but again, I don't think that he intentionally or even unintentionally tried to kill someone. I really do think that he felt like he was in danger, that his life was in danger. It's going to be up to those 12 people on the jury to determine whether or not this young man is innocent, innocent enough to go home.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, as more and more details come out, but from my perspective, I just things that I've seen and reading the witness statements or whatever, it could go either way. And
Yeah.
to leave my future in the hands of 12 jurors under a murder charge to find me guilty or not guilty, that's a heck of a risk. But a lot of people are saying, hey, he should just fight it to the end. But of course, they don't have to do the time if these people come back with a guilty verdict. So I would be fighting like I said to get it. Let's remove the murder charge off top and at least get the two options of manslaughter or criminally negligent, homicide. But one more
I
thing,
would agree.
and then we're gonna dive into what you have going on and the Copability app and everything. I was watching last night interview that, you know, this famous comedian clown, but sometimes makes sense. You know, some things that he had to say about it, and it just stood out to me because there was a lot of truth to it, not just the Carmelo situation, but as well as, you know, he was talking about the Trayvon Martin thing, and as well as young black men in general. That's this mindset, this culture that we live in. So it's a few minutes long. I'm gonna get into that. At any point he says something or anything, and you want to expound on it or agree or disagree, you can just stop me and I'll stop it.
Okay, will do.
Do you see the boy in Frisco stabbed to death by Karmelo Anthony?
Yeah. My heart goes out to the family. They trying to make this a race issue, and this is a right or wrong issue.
Okay. So real quick, I like where you're going on this.
You know, I'm gonna stop right there because a lot of people had a problem. What you think about just that little snippet?
Man, first of all, he's a clown, and he's a clout chaser. It's more complex than that. The first and foremost, it's about someone being bullied and someone being an aggressor, and I'm sure he's gotten away with that behavior before. And it's terrible. There is no winners in this situation. It's terrible all the way around. Someone lost a loved one, a family lost a loved one. Another family is grieving as well. This young man, Karmelo, he is hurting because he knows he is responsible for being involved in a situation that someone else lost their life. But to gloss over the fact that there is at the underbelly of this situation has racial undertones is ridiculous, because we know it does. We have seen countless cases all across the United States where when the white person has been the person that was getting brutalized, and they take the life of someone black, they aren't painted like they have been the aggressor, the gangbanger, the monster. They're not painted that way. They're painted in such a way that they were just defending themselves. But when the shoe is on the other foot, this young man and countless other black people have not been giving that same level of empathy and what is it? You are innocent until proven guilty. They aren't given that grace. So yeah, I disagree with this guy.
Okay, I'm gonna let him speak a little bit more.
It's because I'm not even trying to race bait or anything. People are making this about black and white. You see that they're trying to make this kind of like a Trayvon Martin kind of, you know, they're talking about it, but where do you...
It is. Trayvon Martin was an angry black kid that had to be sent to his father because he lacked discipline, grew up in a home with his single mother. Any well-behaved kid with manners that had respect of adults, once George Zimmerman approached him, whether he's right or wrong, as a child, this is an adult. You get off the phone with that fat-ass girlfriend you trying to fuck, you call your dad and say, hey, Dad, it's an adult around here to just stop me. He says he's calling the police. Rather than doing that, he had an attitude because as young black males in this country, we have an authority problem because we're walking around angry, displaced from our father's issues, but we resent our mothers.
That's true.
So we're a ticking time bomb. And Trayvon Martin could fight. So that's why I say you be careful approaching some of these young kids. What a 13-year-old will kick a 40-year-old's ass.
That's true.
And that's what happened in that situation. He underestimated this kid, and he was looking for trouble. But by law, He was right. And he was
Yeah.
judged by his peers. So we can't say nothing once you're judged by your peers.
Well, what do you think's going to happen in this Austin Metcalf thing? You think he's going to be able
Metcalf
to
ass go, well, no, that boy going to
Karmelo
jail.
Anthony's going to go to jail.
Karmelo going to jail. Because listen, you cannot bring a weapon to school.
Yeah.
So you can't say I was
What if he says self-defense?
There's no self-defense, because if you are afraid the day before, where you have to take a weapon to school, why not notify your parents? Parents, you notify the school teacher. School teacher that's bringing these kids in here and resolve this issue is called conflict resolution. We was taught in homes that has morals and values, you tell the teacher. Somebody fucking with you, you tell the teacher. Let the teachers know, so when y'all have an altercation, you're cleared and you're covered. Documentation beats conversation. So where's the documentation to say this is self-defense? It's a premeditated crime because you took a weapon in fear. Anticipating to use it.
That was premeditated, though.
And it said a track meet. You getting ready to run track with other kids and you got a knife on you. No, man, you got to go to jail. You got to go. So when is it all right to kill the bully? I don't give a fuck what the bully did. He don't have a right to die.
No.
Man, you weak man. That's why I say teach the kids how to deal with bullies and this won't happen. We're all not equal. Even in nature, you can be feeding a flock of birds. There's going to always be one bird to come in and take the food from the. This is nature. Yeah. You cannot get rid of bullies. Teach the kids how to deal with them. Bullies build character. You go to work, it's going to be a bully supervisor, a bully co-worker. You cannot get rid of the bully. Teach our children conflict resolution. Everything don't have to end in violence. But when you come from the black culture, everything is disputed in violence.
Yeah. That is the problem, though. That's how you.
It's the culture.
That's the culture.
No,
that's how they solve. When you have a
pause. That's that cooning right there. That's
I see that clearly.
that is clearly cooning. I completely disagree. You want to put the onus on the kids that are being intimidated, but you aren't putting any responsibilities on the kids that are bullying. It's twofold. You can't have one without the other. If bullies stop bullying, these children, these young teens that get intimidated and fearful wouldn't have to respond the way they respond, because in countless incidents, the bullies would have told parents, the parents would have told the school, and unfortunately, the bully is allowed to continue to bully. Case in point is the example that I gave you of my team working with parents of a young black kid who is in first or second grade. I think he's 6, so that would be first grade, being bullied by another first grader. So it didn't just start for these twins. It didn't just start. They've been bullying. They've gotten away with it because they're cute. It's 2 of them. They're football stars. Everybody likes them. And sometimes we will gloss over the obvious because you'll hear that term or that saying, oh, they just act like that. That's so-and-so. They just act like that. Sometimes that they just act like that won't work. And unfortunately, in this situation, this young man, Karmelo, was faced with, man, I am terrified and I'm going to protect myself. And he protected himself in a way that resulted in someone not being here anymore.
But can you at least agree or think that he does have a point when he speaks about far as conflict resolution?
Conflict management? Absolutely. So conflict resolution, that's one of the things that the training team that's a part of Culpability, we have built out classes one on dealing with difficult people in difficult situations, one on getting home safe, another class on human trafficking and recognizing those signs. So, absolutely, I think it requires a multi-phased approach if we are going to help each other get home safe, and if we're going to empower community, especially these young kids. They need to know how to use their words. They absolutely do, because that perhaps could have made a difference. Because sometimes you can embarrass a bully into acting right. Sometimes you can. Sometimes it's all in how to use your words. And we know conversations can rule the world.
I don't know. Just I kind of agree with him on the conflict resolution part and the culture, man. Like we have to.
Oh yeah.
You know, I've been black my whole life, in case don't nobody know. And I know how it is when you know what I mean? Like we figure we haven't won unless we beat this person aggressively. And sometimes the words, if you know, I've always been good with my words, slick with my tongue, all that type of stuff. And you can say something to anger an individual even more, make him even more angry. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So it's like, to a certain extent, I understood what he was saying about that part, as far as the culture that we have. But he gonna get a little bit deeper into it. I'm gonna try to let him finish, and then you know, get your opinion on what else he has to say.
Serious issue. They don't even contemplate trying to talk it out.
We teach a no snitching rule, right? So our kids are walking around with these mafia rules, codes, and ethics of the streets that's held over children about no snitching. So now I have to take a weapon because I don't want to be a snitch and kill another kid. Oh, it's a simple solution. Go tell the teacher. Tell your parents.
Yeah.
It's a simple solution.
I know, but
tell, motherfucker, tell.
But what sounds crazy, I know it sounds so easy, but the thing is, even for the criminal, the guy that would commit an assault, if you stop him before he does the assault, then they don't have to go to jail as long. You know what I mean?
Man, this is not that kid's first time grabbing a weapon, because most kids who grab a weapon from the first time don't kill people.
Yeah, of course. You bring a gun a couple times before you shoot it.
And if I was being bullied and I'm in self-defense, even though he have an undeveloped brain and he's impulsive, why run?
I don't know.
Why get rid of the knife? You're showing criminal intent. Why throw the knife away where they can't find it? He wasn't found with the knife in his pocket. He wasn't sitting down with the knife in his hand ready to explain what happened.
Yeah. So, but do you think that he had some sort of predisposition to wanting to murder? Is that what you're saying? Is that
No. Children don't wake up to kill because they don't have the brain capacity, the brain development to say, I want somebody dead. Children are impulsive.
Yep.
This was a tragic incident where a kid who don't have emotional intelligence acted impulsively because he comes from a culture that promotes, propagates violence. Every day, all day, kill, kill, die, nigga, shoot, kill, kill. You can't take this in and you lack training. You lack morals. You have to have a foundation of a value system to listen to this type of shit all day long, and you don't have no emotional intelligence where you've been taught to say, man, when you get angry, think.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath. So he was anticipating this to happen. That's why he had the knife, and we had this outcome. He didn't want to kill nobody.
I don't think he wanted to kill anybody. He almost kind of manifested it, though, just by his culture, him around it, having the knife. But
well,
accidentally,
I got a nephew that goes to school out there.
At Frisco?
And not to paint this kid in a bad image.
So what do you think about that? He even included the music. That's assuming Karmelo even listened to that type of music. You know?
Correct. It's a whole lot of assumptions there.
Yeah.
Now, I would agree with the fact that a lot of the rap music has influenced the past I'm going to say the past 25 to 30 years of rap music has caused us to get where we are. Between that, between the and the love and hip hops, between how images of us have been fed to us that only represent a small percentage of us, painting this broad brush of who we are, or who they want us to be. I would agree with that. But when you're saying things like that, he should have expounded upon how we even got there, because it's not like you saw or even today see Black people being the heads of these entertainment companies. So the notion that the rap music that you hear on the radio, the internet, the streaming services, to kill, nigga, hoes and blah 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 blah. Uh, yeah, we hear that because that's what's being pushed. But I could take us back to when rap first started.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't there in the very, very beginning, but I remember Rapper's Delight. I remember the evolution to the NWAs. There was a movement in rap around speaking truth to power and empowering the community and the people. But when they saw the Tupacs and the Biggies talking about what was going on in the hood, and saw that it was began to penetrate our people and get us thinking differently and ready to level up and move collectively, they started getting rid of that conscious rap. And we started seeing more of that stuff that started tearing down our communities. So yeah.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
No, I'm saying, yeah, I agree with parts of what he was saying, but when you just can't give us a little bit. He should have painted the entire picture, because when you just given a little bit, those individuals that are non-melanated, they take it and they run with it, and they only hear that he comes from this community of nonsense and hoodlums and everything negative. That's what he hears. But what they also don't realize is, hell, while at the same time when I was listening to rap music, I had a love for jazz, and I was listening to jazz. I like classical. I believe that we should expose, and this is where parenting and having adults around you, and it takes, a community to raise a child. Um, that's how we then begin to create that foundation. So when they hear certain things on the radio, or they hear certain rappers saying certain things, they realize that they're saying that stuff because they're trying to sell those records.
I'm gonna get off with Charleston White here in a minute, but it's something that he said that had me questioning and thinking, like, okay, this wasn't Melo's first time, and it had me thinking, well, maybe not, but also what he was talking about, if it was just impulsive or whatever, like, why did he run? And I can see myself running out of fear. I know I messed up or what have you, but a part of me thinks that you have to already know that if you use this knife on somebody, what the outcome could possibly be. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I would agree to some small degree. There is always a potential outcome that's going to be catastrophic when with the use of any weapon. But at the same time, And I know a lot of kids think like this. A lot of these teenagers think like this. It won't happen to me. There is this misconception that uh, shit gets real, and that is a potentially real consequence. There was no thinking. He wasn't thinking. He wasn't thinking, because that he'd been rational and been able to utilize some degree of emotional intelligence. He would have known that that is a potential possibility. He wasn't thinking that, because the question that he asked that police officer in the car was, is he okay? He was asking about the young boy, uh, the guy that got stabbed.
Yeah, Austin Metcalf.
Yeah.
Well, Charleston has spoke, and so I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to dissect that as we have, and we take it for what it is. We all have our opinions about what happened and what should have happened, so on and so forth. But yeah, Devin, we were just talking about. I just played a Charleston White video and breaking that down, the things he had to say about the Karmelo situation. Right now, we're just gonna move on into. I mean, what you have going on. You can break it down, explain it to people, or anything else you would like to share with them.
Absolutely. So, a couple of things going on. One, we are rolling out the Culpability app across the United States, so you can download it from either the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. Now, if you get in there and your city isn't in there, reach out to us and we will activate your city. We've included every state, but we haven't activated every city because we wanted to roll it out on a kind of like a staggered approach, because we want to make sure we can support everybody that's downloading and wanting to utilize it. But like I said, if you download it and you don't see your city in there and you want your city to be added, hit us up on either IG at My Culpability, or you can hit us up on Facebook at My Culpability, and we will get your city added. You just let us know what city, or you can hit up my man Corey and tell Corey, hey, we want to add Frisco, Texas to Culpability, because our folks need to be able to hit that SOS button so we can prevent situations like this from taking place. Let us know and we will get your city activated, because our goal is to help all of us get home safe. It's everyone's responsibility to be responsible.
And I'll say this about the Culpability app. Not only that feature far as the SOS and all these things that she's described, but it's a social media platform as well. You know what I mean? Like, you can go on it
Yes.
and you can post, and videos and pictures and everything that you can do on these other platforms. You know what I'm saying? But you have that added feature. And also, we always hollering, we want to support Black businesses, or when things like this happen, Black people tend to get together or whatever. Well, here it is. We have a young lady that started an app to help all people, but specifically Black people. Those are my words. She haven't said that, but I think we may need the things that she's offering in this app more than anyone. So, hey, let's support her. You know what I'm saying? Let's support what she's trying to do. So and I'll definitely be taking and sharing it on my daughter's platform or any other platform. Speaking about the Culpability app. And anything else that you would like to say before we get out of here?
Just one last thing, guys. Just be safe. Before I get off the phone with my brother and my friends, I always tell them I love them and to be safe. So I'm going to say that here. Although I may not know you, just know I love you, because you are a living, breathing human being, and you have people in your life that love you and care about you. And I want you to get home safe and everybody you're connected to get home safe. So let's help each other get home safe. Download that Culpability app.
Well, I want to thank you for coming up here, sharing your insight, knowledge, everything on the topic that was at hand, as well as, offering us this opportunity to get involved with this Culpability app and different features that it have. And again, I just thank you very much. I know it's midday and you took time out of your day to come up here and rock out with me. I appreciate that.
Man, I appreciate you, Corey. I appreciate you. I got nothing but love for you, brother. You and my brother, you guys are thick as thieves, and I can't say just how proud I am of you and how much I appreciate you and all that you're doing for the community.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Peace in the Middle East, guys. Be safe. Take care of each other.
Peace. Yeah, man. Yeah, I really appreciate that, man. Ever since I've been knowing about her for years and years, man. She's always been trying to do something, man, to give back to the community, to help the community, man. And these are the type of people that we should be supporting, man. You know what I'm saying? Like people that spend their time, their hard-earned money or whatever to be productive, to contribute to society, man, and not take away, you know. Just a quick recap before I get out of here. I basically covered the Jesus San Miguel case. It took place in 2023. 18-year-old kid got into an altercation with his friend. Actually, they went to the restaurant together across the street from the school. From the school, John Jay High School out in San Antonio, Bexar County, and supposedly is behind a girl, something that Jesus has said to Joshua Kinnaman's girl or whatever. He challenged him to a fight. They go outside. Joshua pushes him in the back, and Jesus reaches into his backpack, pulls out a knife, and Joshua starts swinging on him, swinging at him or whatever. Jesus was somewhat retreating and then eventually end up stabbing Joshua in his torso. As a result of his injuries, Joshua passes away. They charged Jesus with murder and gave him a $150,000 bond. Eventually, he goes to trial. The jury comes back with a conviction not of murder, but of criminally negligent homicide. And he ends up getting an additional, I think, 30 days in jail and 10 years probation. So there's a lot of similarities to the Karmelo and Metcalf situation. And I was just wondering, what would be acceptable to people to where they, because some people want Karmelo off scot-free, feel like it was self-defense, and me, having experience dealing with the criminal justice system, looking at the location as far as the county, the possibility of the mindset and all these things. I don't think that he should try to take this murder to no trial and claim self-defense, but that's just me. But anyway, long story short, man, I'm about to get out of here. And there's a lot of things that Charleston White said in the videos that I played about the culture and all of that. So I'll definitely be going into that because as anyone should know that, I'm against this negative images and content in rap music. So this is why I started Panic. And having received a lot of support with it, but I think that it's sad to say, but as these type of situations take place and people look at the culture and the influences that may, the things that may influence these kids, we always resort back to the music, but no one wants to do anything about it. And a lot of times the adults enjoy this music as well. So we are so selfish that we'll sacrifice the future of our children so we can get this little enjoyment that we have listening to all this music. And this is coming from somebody that has enjoyed the music as well and has promoted shows and all of this with that music. But something has to be done because we're losing children out here, man. And nobody seems to care unless it's a case like this, And I'm not saying music is the reason, but there's a case like this that garners worldwide attention, and it's black and white, a greater divide here. So these are the things that are being promoted, and we have to do something about this. And another thing, I'm of the opinion that this whole situation with Karmelo and his case with Metcalf, I'm of the opinion that it's garnering this national attention for the simple fact that they're trying to give us something to focus on, so we won't focus on what they're doing, such as these instituting the terrorists, the threats of the terrorists, and removing them. And billionaires made more and more money, and the president of the United States actually brags about it on video or whatever. So there's things that are going on to where they have to lull us to sleep with. The whole America is arguing about right and wrong or race or whatever with this situation, while the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. So America is actually in a crisis, man, and a lot of us are not aware of it. So maybe the next live that I do, I'm going to speak about this new world order that I believe is in place, and I believe that there's no saving the direction that this country is going, the decline of this country, and what we can do about it if we want to even attempt to save it. And I will say this: we can't save it, we can't stop the decline unless all ethnic groups, races, or whatever you want to call it in this country decide that, look, we need each other. You know what I mean? We need each other, whether we like it or not. We need each other. We have to remove our biases, and all the things that have kept people apart in this country, and figure out that we're not enemies to one another. Although things may happen, that tragedies may happen, we're not enemies to one another. And I think back when this guy said it one time, man, and it kind of stands out today. We may need to hear it. You know what I mean?
I just want to say, can we all get along? Can we get along?
And that's basically where we are. You know what I mean? Like Rodney King said, we're gonna have to figure out a way to get along, because I know no amount of arguing about these socially divisive issues is gonna put money in our pockets. You know what I mean? All I can see, and we can see by the different GoFundMes and things, that it's definitely taking money out of our pockets, but it's not putting any money in our pockets. It's just give us something to focus on besides what these people are doing and how they are tearing this country apart. So with that being said, I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate everybody that rocked out with me. We're growing slowly but surely. And I appreciate that. I think I'm maybe, like I said, 4 subscribers away from 500, man. To me, that's a great feat, man, because I don't necessarily have the content that's focused on beefs and drama and all that type of stuff like other individuals do. But I'm comfortable in the lane that I'm in and talking about what I believe is serious topics. And if you have a topic from anywhere and you want that to be discussed, shoot it at me. You can email me at it's just rolling across the bottom at racisentertainment1999@gmail.com. You know what I'm saying? And just hit me up, and I'll gladly look into it and bring it to the forefront. And with that being said, I'm gonna get out of here, man. And like she said, man, y'all be safe out here, man. There's a lot of people that they use these situations just to let out what they've been wanting to do anyway, and I've encountered these situations. People are being more and more aggressive. They're feeling empowered, emboldened, and they want a reason. And at the same time, I don't want to, but I want a reason too. If you do something, to me or somebody I love, or just a general person that ain't causing you no harm. So y'all be safe out here. And with that being said, peace, blessings, and we're gonna definitely get into this new world order. And I love y'all, man. Peace.
Both A-Kind. Yeah.
Don't nothing come easy. You gotta try real hard. I tried hard, but I guess I gotta try harder.
I try so hard, can't seem to get away from misery. Man, I try so hard, will always be a victim of these streets. It ain't my fault, 'cause I try to get away, but trouble finds
just a black man, and I come from the dark side, so I'm having a hard time staying on track, man. My mind be racing, and I don't even know what I'm chasing yet. Been in and out of relationships, I'm starting to see that it's me with the complications at, but I'm laying back, praying that you get that peace of mind of me. I thought I was right, but really I'm wrong, then again I was too blind to see. I was in the fast lane, chasing my dream, and then the scene when the fame and cash came, they just got me going crazy. Lately, I've been so faded, trying to erase it, but I just can't, cause the drama just goes greater. And I've been in so many collisions, I'm putting shit off till later.
I try so hard, can't seem to get away from misery. Man, I try so hard, always be a victim of these streets. It ain't my fault, cause I try to get away, but trouble follows me. And still I try so hard, hoping one day you'll come and rescue me. But until then, I'll be posted up right here in Sleep Hill Snow. But until then, I'll be posted up right here with my heat getting low.
It's like I'm taking 5 steps forward and 10 steps back, trying to get ahead of the game, but I can't seem to get it on track. And I keep running away the ones that say they love me the most. How could I create the distance when it's supposed to be close? And I just don't know, but I'll be out here fighting demons. And it's like a curse that I can't shake this part of Cleveland. And Lord, would you help me and stop this pain I keep inflicting on my family? Hustling and gambling, tricking and scambling, and losing sight of what I'm supposed to be handling. It's hard to manage, cause every day's a challenge. And man, I'm slipping, can't lose my balance. I'm trying not to panic.
I try so hard, can't seem to get away from misery. Man, I try so hard, will always be a victim of these streets. It ain't my fault, cause I try to get away, but trouble follows me. And still I try so hard, hoping one day you'll come and rescue me. But until then, I'll be posted up right here in Sleep Hill Snow. But until then, I'll be posted up right here with my heat getting low, getting low.
I see things won't change. I'm stuck in the game. As soon as I get out, it keeps pulling me back. Got me doing dirty. So used to this hustle money that I don't understand. No 9-to-5 work. Studied on the streets. Hustles know what I mean. Hustles balling before us. I'm trying to make that major league. So it never leave, never till the sun came up. Gotta get it, no leaving, no rush. Today games they play, gotta go hard and get what you put in. If you fall off, then it's all on you. Gotta watch what you sign to. Try so hard, but I won't.
I try so hard, can't seem to get away from misery. Man, I try so hard, will always be a victim of these streets. It ain't my fault, cause I try to get away, but trouble follows me. And still I try so hard, hoping one day you'll come and rescue me. But until then, I'll be posted up right here in Sleep Hill Snow. But until then, I'll be posted up right here with my heat getting low.